All right, so I've got my twisty pliers, needle, needle nose pliers, and this eye web. Why do I need a new eye web? Eye web specifically because this glove has a tear. All right, so the first glove that we're looking at here is a model that the company doesn't even exist anymore. It's called a Kelley. So Kelley was a glove company based out of Texas, if I remember correctly. But when I got to high school, my first year, I played a little bit of varsity, and I was playing third base with a 10 and a half inch glove. I actually have it here somewhere, and it will be the subject of a future video. Um, but it's a Omar Vizquel Rawlings Pro 15XOT, and I was playing third with this. That's a pretty small glove for third, and I eventually wanted to move to a little bit bigger, and I went with an 11 and a half of this brand Kelley. Now, this isn't actually my high school glove. This is my college glove um, that we're going to be remaking. But my high school colors were red and black, so I'm going to change out this bridge to be red, and I'm going to work this eye web. I have a piece of eye web leather. It's slightly newer by like a decade, so it is very black, and this is faded quite a bit, as you can kind of see. But I'm going to be reworking this in with red lace. I've already got started on a thread here. But like I said, this is for beginners. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I struggled with when I got started. One was exactly what this needle was. It's a brass lacing needle. You can get them on Amazon. You need to cut your piece. Now I've actually conditioned um, this piece of lace as well. But one of the things you need to do is cut the end, make a point, and it fits right in. Didn't know that. It took me way too long to figure it out, but maybe that can help you. Um, Now, I did lace this leather. There are a couple of accounts that, as I've begun this journey, that I loved. One that kind of started this journey a long time ago was the Glove Lab, AZ Glove Lab. Now, Chris sent me a piece of the homemade lace wax that he has, as you can see. I've already run this through and a couple others. Um, but I didn't even know how to use it when I got it. And it's very simple. Take the underside and you just run it through. So the laces have been conditioned for this and a couple other ones that are going to be coming down the pike. And when I grew up, like I was very sacred about my glove. Please, no one else wear it. Some of the glove care things I didn't do was just laying it flat like this. I was always a pancake guy. One of the things that's going to be hard for me is making that first snip to cut this thing. Wow, feels weird. And I'm sorry, it's shaky. It's a shaky mess. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, there you have it. A glove with all the fingers. No run at the top, no web either. Um, but I did promise I'm going to clean this thing up a little bit. Now, one of the products that I kind of got, and maybe I'll talk about this more in this like kind of beginner, is there's so many different little um, glove cleaners and salves and balms and whatever. Um, like I mentioned, Chris at the Glove Lab has a cleaner that I'm going to try on this. I haven't used it before. It's shop made, and it actually sends a little thing to mix. So I'm going to shake it up nice and good. Mix 1 ounce of cleaner with 3 ounces of room temperature or warm water. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to start to clean this glove. I've gotten a lot of my tips and tricks from guys like Chris at the Glove Lab. TJ can mention um, Gold Glove lacing in Utah. There we go. Some of the things that they talked about. This is a brush I got off of Amazon. I used it a little bit here and there on some stuff. But what I'm actually going to use with Chris's recommendation, the Otter Wax brushes that are very nice. And this one's a little bit softer. I'm going to be using it. And I know I should probably do even more unlacing of stuff to really give this a nice clean, but I don't want to do the whole glove. You know, I say that it's mostly because I don't have the materials to do a whole glove. So maybe at some point, but right now, we'll just do a little cleaning. Now, even though we're not going to be undoing all of the laces for this project, we will untie them so we can do some cleaning down here too. Now you can also get a toothbrush, get in there. One of the things I might actually also do with this glove is repaint some of the spots that are a little bit worse for wear, that with some leather paint that I think would spruce it up a little bit. This glove really was not all that dirty. All right, so this is dried for a little while, and yeah, looking nice and clean now. Some spots that look like could be a little tricky for me, but um, yeah, turned out nice and clean. I redid the laces. It's one of the things I have to work on, like just being consistent with my ties. So it's still not second nature to me yet. So this is the new iWeb. It is not quite the same. It's got these white stitching on it instead of the original all black. But hopefully that won't matter too much. Like I said, you can see the difference in the two colors, and that's just unfortunate. But that's going to have to be how it's going to be. So now we're going to work on the iWeb itself. So I probably already explained this, but I'll go back through it. I bought this online to replace this that was ripped
at these laces. I wasn't going to be able to fix that. So I've been working on this. I practiced. I ran it through. Now I'm going to do it again. Our brass lacing needle and our lace. So you may be thinking, wow, that's a short lace. Yes, it is. I already ran it through here and had it kind of trimmed up, ready to go. And now I pulled it out and I know it fits. So, okay, one of the things that I think can be done either way, different people, different strategies. You can go laces on each side and kind of run it through in that way. We're going to go with one needle, one lace, boom, we're pulling through. We're leaving about that much, 4 inches or so. So then we're going to come through here. And great. Now we're through. Now when attaching back to our glove, it's going to run across these holes at the top. We don't want it to be right up next to it, but we do want it to be pretty snug. And it's pretty simple. We go through the bottom, out the top, boop. And we want to make sure that when we do that, on the flip side here, we're making sure that that lace is sticking out. Sure, it doesn't get twisted. And boom. We have our lace with the smooth side out. So then we run through the top and making sure it stays relatively straight and definitely does not twist while it's in there. We come through and we can go right through, similar to the other side, right through the top, like so. Down through the bottom, making sure that smooth side is up, like so. Getting it a little more snug than this. Which, this is where I say my amateurism stands out. But, there we go, that's better. Okay. Eye web to the sides. It's not too snug, not too loose. Now we're going to go up into the glove and out through this hole. Now the positive thing about being an amateur is that I'm sure along the way I'm going to learn quite a few things from anyone out there who cares to share. Because if there's one thing I have found just in the little bit that I've been around this community thus far, people can be really nice about helping. So this is the result of me having already strung this once and cutting it to the size. If you're going off a big lace, you obviously won't have what I just did there. Now, I kind of like it right there. There we go. Top completed. Just making a rectangle across, going down, through, up, over, back down, and up. Boom. There we have it. Okay, so now we're going to run through the bottom part of this. Everywhere I've seen is done a double X across these points. So one of the key things to remember when doing the double X, we're going to come around and down, and instead of going through on the first pass, we're going to stay on this side of the glove up top and then go back through. And then the second time we go through, it'll go all the way. So hopefully, if that's clear as mud, I'll be able to show you exactly what I mean. So, the original Kelley eye web that I had did not actually have the double, and so I don't actually know, in each version of the Kelley gloves that I've had, it's always been the single X. So we'll see how it feels after we're done. Similar, that we just kind of follow the pattern, right? We're going to go through and make sure that the rough side faces down when we get through that side, and making sure that smooth side faces up, as get a little bit of a twist there that I don't know that I want. There we go. So then we can run this down smooth side up, just like on the top. Go straight through. Taking a little of the scraps with me. I should have just cleared the table, but I don't have a trash can down in my workspace yet. As I mentioned, we're just beginning here with this whole project. So there is the interior of that lace. Pull it kind of snug. And now we'll go through. I mentioned before, we want the smooth side facing out. That includes in our X of this iWeb. So we go out. And then we're going to go back through this way, the rough side facing up. Just pulling that. There we go. Make sure it's a little... I don't want it too snug, but I don't want it to be super loose either. So, there we go. I'm going to go over here and then out this side. Pull. It's still facing up. Keep the X going. Do the exact same thing. Down and around. With the rough side of this lace facing up. That's a little too tight. There we go. And I want mine to match. So I'm going to keep it the same here, going on top both ways through. And actually I screwed up there, and that's perfect because I can actually show you this. So instead of going out this part of the iWeb, what I want to do is actually come back this way and through the glove this way. And instead of coming all the way through and out the side, I'm going to pull through and come out this first hole. Okay, so we're starting to look like a glove there. I like it. Now we're going to do a little half twist and stay with the original way that this went through, so it goes across the bottom. It doesn't necessarily stack up exactly right, but that's all right. I don't care. Now you might, and that's totally fine. You can work that through. Pull that through, double on that side. Now you can see we're going to go through this lace, keeping the smooth side up, and come out the other side of this X. Like so. Doubling through across the X. And now I think I mentioned yesterday, or maybe I don't know if I cut it or not, but this is, I don't even remember where I got this leather from. That's my new iWeb. So it doesn't match, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I'm also not 100% sure like the actual leather quality, which I don't play competitively anymore. This is just a glove to play catch with my son, so I'm not that worried about it, and I won't get that worked up about it. But if you do care about that, hopefully you don't have an eye web that just completely rips and you don't have to worry about it. If you're just doing the laces, you'll have your original eye web, so you'll be fine. So just like on this side, we're going to poke through to the palm of the glove. And you might be thinking, man, it gets kind of crowded in there. Well, that's why you save the second run for when you go across and do this. Because it is a little crowded with all this lace in here. But in this case, boom. You run it through the front, come on through this side, line the laces up a little bit better there. Now, on this glove, we have another run on the inside here, and we're going to be able to go through this bottom hole where there's this knot, pop out the other side, and this is why the brass needle works so well. You might be like me and get your journey started in relacing with, you know, a Wilson relacing pack or a Rawlings relacing unit that you just find from Dick's Sporting Goods, or even Walmart has the Rawlings relacing. Now, I want to make sure that I get this kind of with the rotation that I want going in. But for myself personally, this has been the difference maker. Having the brass is such a huge help. Now I only have one, and it is a longer one, like I mentioned. That is kind of the negative side for me personally. At this point, I only have one. I only have a short one. So, because I already cut this, I don't have necessarily the perfect setup to make this last little run through this hole. I have to take it off of the needle because the needle's too long. If I had, they do make shorter needles that work great for this, but we have needle nose pliers, we have the bent nose pliers. One of the ways, and actually one of the tools that come with the Wilson relacing pack is actually really, really good for that too. But as you can see, boom, we've got it. Now, keep in mind, still gotta do the bridge across the top, but you tie it up and boom, we have our relacing of the eye web. All right, so I've got my lace ready. Now, the way that this glove is fashioned, it actually has tie points here and here instead of running across the eye web. And then the eye web has basically a knot here and a knot here. I didn't pay close enough attention when I was doing this to start with, and it led me to having to basically go back through the tape and look for that. We're gonna start, this is maybe a little bit shorter of a knot area here. It's probably good. If you would look at some of the original lacing, the knots are very short. Now, I don't necessarily want to do that, but as we run the lacing of this finger, we'll see what develops. You don't want it to be super tight, but you don't want it to be loose either. So just checking the tension as we go through. As before, trying to keep the smooth side up. I've shortened my lace here, measured out, and I think it'll be fine as far as length goes. you can run through, absolutely can run through with the full lace. No problem with that at all. I'm really starting to like the look of this red. We are going to have the smooth side up here and actually have the rough side facing up on the back. Now, I could maneuver it, twist it, and avoid that. But I'm more focused on the inside being smooth. And if I'm anywhere being judged by whether that's rough or smooth, I'm probably in the wrong place. So, this black glove from Kelley was their top-end model there before they went under. I think I mentioned earlier in the video, or at least meant to. I'm going to snug this up a little bit. That this company was based out of Texas, if I remember correctly. I actually got, I want to say, my family for sure got at least 3, maybe 4 of these Kelley gloves. I played fall ball with a guy who had one, and I loved it. As you can see, it's pretty simple, not a lot of flair to it. But I also played, I was playing high school baseball 20 years ago. My last year of college baseball was 2010. So it has been a while since I've been playing, and back then you just didn't have the same instances like you have now where you can fully customize your glove. Like that wasn't a thing. I remember my first teammate in college got a Valley glove. Shout out Dave Valley, one of the best dudes I know. Got a Valley glove, V-A-L-L-E. And that was the first custom glove I ever remember seeing. So, the finger pad's a little stuck here. And there you have it. So we didn't have gloves that even had a whole lot of customization to it. I might tighten this up just a little bit up the top. I don't like how loose that is. But like I said, we're going to do 2 knots on either side of this. Like I said, I don't love how short I made this side, but one of the things that I know I need to work on is the knots. I know from what I've heard, that's a part of the community that really can be not the kindest about it. One step closer, baby.
All right, so the last thing that we have to do here is make the run across the top of this lace. And as I said, when I looked back at old pictures of Kelley Black, and it does look much nicer now that I got it cleaned. But instead of having a run all the way across the top, including the web, there were knots here and here, and knots here and here. So we're going to take our needle, lace up again. Now it kind of started with a knot right here, so we're going to feed through the top of this lace. It'll poke us out the other side. And it'll almost look like, let's try to get a little half turn in there. There we go. That's better. It'll almost look like these are coming attached here. So what I'm going to do is send this lace through this side instead of trying to run it through the outside. I'm sure you could do either way. It just looks a little bit better, in my opinion, if you're coming through the inside versus going through the outside. So, oh, and of course, uh, if it was easy or fast, and now what I really could do is just tie my knot, because you tie your knot, you don't have to worry about that because it is pretty loose. But I'm going to save that to the end because I stink at knots right now, and sometimes I need a little reminder video of the best way to tie those knots. So, making sure to always keep my rough side down. Pull this through. And there you go. So as you can see, it kind of looks like just one piece of lace. And I'm sure I could do it that way, actually. But when we did the tear part, this was how it was laced up. So we're going to go back through, rough side down. And then just kind of keep maneuvering it down the line. Future self is not going to leave the scraps on the table. I know people like the scraps. I like seeing the scraps, at least, I should say. But we're going to pull that through. And we got twisted. No, we didn't. Hey. All right. I'm going to pull it snug, not too tight, but snug. And there we go. See, I'm quite happy with pulling it through this way. I think that looks best. So now we're down to the end of this run across the top. I'm a big fan. Now I am going to go back into the mitt on this side, and similar to the where we started this, I'm going to pull it through the inside over here. So again, it kind of looks like one lace, and then it'll pop out right there. At least that's the goal. So let's see how it goes. Whoops. Just fed it through the wrong way for no apparent reason. And again, when we were redoing this, the actual webbing at the start of this video, one of the things we talked about was not making it too tight, and this is exactly why. So now, it's in. Boop. There we have it. Wow. I'm actually quite pleased with myself there. And there we have it. How about that? All right, well, there you have it. Maybe a couple spots that could use some tightening up, but overall, for the first effort, I'm pretty pleased. Again, this is a Kelley BLK115. Probably about 15 years old, but even just those laces spark some new life into this bad boy. So, thanks for watching.